Rappers who went broke in the stupidest ways.
Before filing for bankruptcy, 50 Cent was spending $108,000 per month to rent an 18-bedroom mega mansion, while T-Pain's bankruptcy was so brutal that by the end of it, he had to borrow money just to buy Burger King.
Honestly though, that wouldn't be a first for me. If there was a time.
Was legitness.
That was legit. Ayo, bro, Cowboy, I appreciate the tier 1 sub, buddy. Thank you. There was a time when your boy was so broke, I also had to ask for Burger King. Of my homie called Hendrik. Those there were some hard times.
However, let's begin by talking about DMX, who had to file for bankruptcy on 3 separate occasions.
Why?
As he couldn't afford child support. You see, DMX had 17 children with 11 different women, and almost every child resulted in some kind of lawsuit or child support requirement.
God damn! Man's got that W Riz, bro. 17 kids with 11 women, bro. But how the fuck do you have 17 kids, bro? With 11 different women? It's all a matter of just putting on a little bit of rubber, bro. You just put that rubber around your schmeat, and majority of the time, you good. 17 is that. Bro, 17 with 11 different women. Not 1, 11. Big man.
For example, DMX was sued for $1.5 million worth of child support in 2008 after a genetic test confirmed that he was the father of a previously unclaimed baby, which when combined with his declining music career, resulted in his first bankruptcy filing. 4 years later in 2012, DMX was sued by a different ex-partner for a further $1 million worth of child support, and a year after this lawsuit, he'd filed for bankruptcy a second time. His third bankruptcy would occur in 2016, during which it would be discovered that DMX had racked up a further $1.7 million worth of unpaid child and family support, which accompanied $950,000 in bank debt and $1.7 million worth of tax debt. Since he had $0 in his bank account, DMX was sentenced to 6 months in prison for the child support, a further year in prison for the unpaid taxes, and was also ordered to pay the government $2.29 million in restitution after he was released from his time behind bars.
That's why he went to jail. He didn't pay the taxes.
However, DMX never had the chance to pay the amount back in full, as he died in April 2021, and despite his extensive family tree, DMX never wrote a will, meaning that his family was still involved in money-related legal battles even after he was dead and buried. Tiger was certainly better at managing his child support payments, although he definitely had a weakness when it came to luxury spending. After cultivating his career as a successful rapper, Tiger's name entered news headlines after he'd purchased a $200,000 Mercedes Maybach for his girlfriend, while being $480,000 behind in rental payments on a luxury Malibu home.
But how the fuck do you do that though? Dude, he's $480,000 overdue in rent, bro. Most people won't even see that kind of money in their lives. This is why I don't give people money. I don't lend people money. I rarely will lend people money. You know why? Because I swear to God, if I... it's like I lend you like $100, right? And then I'm like scrolling through the city, right? And I see you sitting at a restaurant with a big ass meal, a nice ass meal. Probably like... It's like 50 to $80. That's a pretty nice meal right there, right? But you haven't paid me back. We're gonna have a problem. Because you're basically eating my money. If rich people aren't smart, they're just trying to look crazy. Could be. Did you know that there's almost 2 times the debt when they raise money? Yeah, I knew there was a stat like that. That like we have more debt than we do have money. Continue.
As a result, Tiger was sued by his landlord, although he'd failed to show up to court as he was on holiday in Turks and Caicos. Yet this situation wasn't the only example of Tiger spending big in one area while being financially behind in another. For example, in 2016, while shopping for a new Bentley, Tiger's Ferrari 458 was repossessed in the parking lot as Tiger hadn't been paying for the loan. Despite this, Tiger would go on to purchase a...
Look, I have a basic rule. If you can't buy it outright, right? A majority of the time, if it's something that's a luxury that you do not need and you can't afford it, don't rent it, don't lease it, don't do any of that. If it's something you need, obviously that's a different story. For example, like some people need cars to get to their jobs, right? That makes sense. But this is just stupid. This is just stupid.
Another Mercedes Maybach, as well as a Land Rover, a Rolls-Royce Ghost, and a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, all of which were repossessed for non-payment, while he was seen looking at a brand new Lamborghini. In addition to this, Tiger was sued by a second landlord for $181,000 after once again missing rental payments in 2016, which was followed by a third property-related lawsuit in 2020, where Tiger had racked up over $200,000 in damages and unpaid rent on yet another rental property. It was then revealed that Tiger was being
Bro, but like, the first thing I'd do if I started making this kind of money is I would just buy my house. I'll just buy my house, pay off the whole fucking mortgage, and then we're good. Or why is he renting? He can buy a little cushy home in like a suburban area and still live his lavish lifestyle. He doesn't need to be renting shit. It's so stupid.
Court order to pay for $200,000 worth of unpaid jewelry, which accompanied the accusation by his ex-girlfriend Black China that he'd been missing child support payments. And just to add a cherry on top of the cake, while all of this was going down, Tiger was in $890,000 worth of tax debt to the government. Despite all of this, Tiger is still seen flexing a lavish life on social media, which is a luxury unavailable to rap producer Scott Storch, who blew through $70 million in less than 3 years.
But how do you even do that, bro? Back to the video, guys. How do you blow through $70 million in less than 3 years? I can't even imagine how the fuck I would spend $70 million. It's like, it's genuinely fucking insane to me. It's so scuffed.
Scott had earned this money by producing for some of the biggest names in music, including Kanye West, Dr. Dre, and Jay-Z. Yet Scott Storch's insane net worth began to diminish after he'd purchased an insane supercar collection,
30 cars, including Bugattis and Ferraris and all that kind of stuff,
as well as a $10.5 million mansion, where he housed more than 20 staff, including a boat captain, just in case he wanted to go out on his yacht.
So the captain was on full-time staff?
Yeah.
In case you want to take the boat out?
Yeah.
And the boat was how many bedrooms?
7.
7-bedroom boat, worth about how much?
20 million.
20 million.
Scott went on to explain just how much this lifestyle was costing him.
My monthly overhead for my household employees was somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million a month I was spending.
And that if he continued to work, there wouldn't have been any problems, although this isn't what he would do.
It went from me working and delivering to doing drugs and not going to the studio.
I just stopped working, and then I got depressed and jaded.
Well, yeah. Like, if you stop working, you're gonna run out of money. That's what happens.
As mentioned, Scott stopped making music and instead began to get addicted to the nightlife in Miami. And with no money coming in plus $1 million a month going out, it was only going to be so long before Scott hit zero. By 2009, just 3 years after having a net worth of $70 million, Scott had filed for bankruptcy. 6 years later, Scott would file for bankruptcy a second time, claiming to have a grand total of $3,600 of assets to his name, $100 in cash, $500 in clothing, and a $3,000 watch. Most shocking, his music companies are valued at $0, and in 2014 he made a grand total of only $10,000. Throughout this hardship, Fat Joe was one of the only rappers to keep their friendship with Scott, possibly because Fat Joe went through a similar situation himself. Fat Joe had earned $1.18 million in 2007, $1.28 million in 2008, $265,000 in 2009, and $630,000 in 2010. However, despite having made this $3.3 million in only 4 years, Fat Joe failed to pay taxes on it. He was able to come up with $718,000 and had also done extensive charity work. However, this wasn't enough to satisfy the judge, who sentenced Fat Joe to 4 months in prison. Despite taking personal responsibility for his actions by stating, "There was a lot going on in the years that I didn't file my taxes, but it was my responsibility," less than 4 years later, Fat Joe entered news headlines again after the IRS revealed that he still owed them $1.1 million in taxes. However, this number was absolutely nothing in comparison to Fat Joe's friend Lil Kim, who owed almost 4 times more and became, quote, too poor to file for bankruptcy.
Oh my god, bro, could I come to your place with dinner, Dren? Probably not. Probably not. Bro, how do you get to that point, bro?
Lil' Kim wasn't nearly as successful as some of the other rappers featured on this list. However, this didn't stop her from purchasing a $2.3 million mansion back in 2002, notably with the help of a mortgage. Throughout the 2000s, Kim's music career slowed dramatically, and by 2018, Kim was filing for bankruptcy as she still owed the full $2 million on her property, despite the 16 years that had passed. In addition to this, Kim now owed $1.85 million to the government for 13 years worth of unpaid taxes, which accompanied a further $185,000 in unpaid legal fees. The bankruptcy became even worse after discovering that by 2018, Kim was earning a comparatively small $18,000 per month, of which $2,000 went to staff, another $2,000 went to clothing, and $10,000 went to travel fees, meaning she had less than $4,000 per month to dig herself out of $4 million worth of debt. Somehow Lil' Kim managed to, quote, get her
Okay, so stop traveling so much. An 18K and small, what the fuck? That's average with the great. 8%. That's average. I mean, like 18K is well over 6 figures, bro. That's. If you can do the math here, let me pull out my calculator. That's a decent amount of money. Like if I was making 18K a month by doing jack shit, I would be happy as fuck. Okay, so 18K times 12. That's still a $250,000 a year. That's close to a $250,000 a year. That's or not a $250,000, sorry, a fifth of a mil. It's $216,000. I don't get how these people make these terrible financial decisions, bro. I don't get it.
Finances into good shape, and her bankruptcy filing was dismissed. However,
I'll take
MC
18K.
Hammer wasn't quite so lucky. Despite having the 5th best-selling hip-hop album of all time, which sold 17 million copies and featured songs such as You Can't Touch This, MC Hammer wasn't able to stay out of financial trouble. He bought more than 17 luxury cars, a private jet, 2 helicopters, and 21 racehorses. Some of the horses were valued at around $1 million. Most of his expenses, however, were on his home. He bought a property in Fremont, California for $12 million and spent another $30 million on renovations to turn it into his dream home. He added a bowling alley, basketball court, baseball field, recording studio.
Bro, if I was him, I'll just buy a small house somewhere, bro. What the fuck do you need, dude? Why do you need like 15 bedrooms? I don't know how they're this stupid, man. It's like, why do you need 15 bedrooms, dog? In the future, I'll know that I'll have my wife, we'll have 4 kids. So I'll just need a 4-bedroom house, and maybe like an extra guest bedroom, and the rest of the motherfuckers can sleep on the couch. I don't need more than that, and that is maybe tops maybe close to $2 million. Like man's be out here spending $12 million on a house. Okay, if you have the money, fine, but then you spend another $13 million on renovations. It's a $12 million fucking house, but what are you renovating?
Studio, movie theater, 17-car garage, tennis courts, and 2 swimming pools to the 40,000 square foot mansion. One of the pools was shaped like his signature baggy pants that came to be known as Hammer Pants. He added several marble statues of himself throughout the property and installed a gold hot tub in his bedroom. And to keep everything running smoothly, he employed a staff of nearly 200 people on the property, which cost him an estimated $500,000 a month. Unsurprisingly, less than 5 years later, MC Hammer had filed for bankrupt.
No shit. No fucking shit, bro. You're dropping $500K a month on staff alone. You're bleeding money.
A month. Unsurprisingly, less than 5 years later, MC Hammer had filed for bankruptcy, at which point it had been revealed that he hadn't only spent his entire $70 million fortune, but had also taken on a further $13 million in loans, which had been borrowed from over 200 different lending institutions. Despite having spent a total of $42 million on his California dream home, the property resold for only $6.5 million. However, if we're on the topic of expensive homes being repossessed repossessed by the bank, we need to talk about Birdman, who's ranked as the 15th richest rapper in the world with a net worth of $110 million. But this is what makes Birdman's story unique. If he was worth over $100 million, why was his Miami mansion being repossessed by the bank for non-payment? Birdman had purchased the home back in 2012 for $14.5 million, yet by 2017 a foreclosure suit had been filed by the bank, and quote, all personal items within the home, including platinum records gracing the walls, a pool table and dozens of pairs of shoes, were all confiscated and placed in storage. The mansion was eventually
So basically they just took all his shit. I'm the biggest bird. Yeah, Birdman. Brr.
sold by the bank for $10.85 million in July 2020. However, Birdman's lawyer has come out to explain the foreclosure, stating that it was the result of illegal loan terms set by the bank, so perhaps take Birdman's bankruptcy with a grain of salt. However, there's no ambiguity around how T-Pain went broke, as he's now come on multiple podcasts to explain just how brutal his bankruptcy was. T-Pain had built up a net worth of over $40 million at his peak in 2007, with all of his closest rap friends advising him that as long as he kept rapping, the money would keep on coming in.
Everybody before me that I had to look up to, they were just like, no, this is great. Once you start rapping, it's just money all the time. Nothing bad's ever gonna happen. Your family's not gonna come after you. Just rap, and it's just girls and swimming pools after this.
For this reason, his spending began to get out of control.
I bought my Bugatti.
You bought it for $2.1 million.
$2.1 million.
And then you, very shortly thereafter, you sold it for, all they gave you was $800,000.
Yeah.
So it was like renting a car for $1.3 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts. But it's crazy how lost these guys are with their money. Yeah, it is though. But I do understand that like some people, and like that's what like me and my woman over here are also trying to fix in our lives, is just like we want to get to a point where like, yes, we are financially stable people, but like where we know exactly how to handle our money. We don't overspend. We don't buy things that we cannot afford, right? And we basically live a frugal, normal life. Doesn't matter if, like, in the future we become millionaires, right? It doesn't fucking matter. Like, you would still see me living in, like, an apartment, right? Sure, we would have nice things, nice clothes, maybe a nice car or two, but it will never be, like, to the point where, like, I'm renting a car for $1.1 million. That's fucking insane. That's so stupid.
Purchase of his Bugatti accompanying a $400,000 chain and houses for his workmates.
I got this house I want to get. I got this other house for my assistants and, you know, all my runners and my producers and stuff. So we bought a house after that and we just started going crazy with the money. I wasn't paying attention to it.
Which was extra bad as T-Pain never even checked in on how much money he had.
I didn't want to know because I was led to believe that this is it's only gonna grow. Because these rappers told me that I'm just gonna make money forever.
That's never the case, bro. Yeah, his chain is goofy though. That's never the case though. You will never continue to make money forever. You can't work forever, right? Like it's such a stupid fucking notion.
Gonna keep going up and up.
In the process, T-Pain began to create less music, and within a few years, his accountant was advising him that he was almost out of money.
My accountant was like, dude, you're like out of money. And I was like, no, I'm not.
And while T-Pain seemed confident that he had plenty of cash left, reality set in for him after he'd have to borrow money just to buy food.
When you say you was broke, you had like $0 broke?
I like had to borrow money to get my kids Burger King.
What's the most you ever had in the bank at one time?
40 million.
However, T-Pain was lucky to get away with a loss of only 40 million, as the final person on our list makes this number look like loose change. 50 Cent. 50 didn't only release the 10th best-selling American hip-hop album of all time, but he also made over $100 million on a vitamin water investment, plus a further $78 million from a luxury underwear deal. In the late 2000s, 50 Cent made an estimated $300 million in only 2 years, so when it announced that he was filing for bankruptcy in mid-2015, with debts totaling totaling over 32 million, the entire world was thinking the same thing. How did this happen? Well, after 50 Cent uploaded a sex tape with Rick Ross's girlfriend, 50 was successfully sued for 7 million, which accompanied another court order for 50 Cent to pay 17 million to a headphone manufacturer after one of their collabs went sour. 50 Cent's clothing company G-Unit Clothing then fell out of the spotlight, which accompanied the closing of his movie company G-Unit Productions, as well as his boxing company SMS Promotions. Throughout the whole process, the global financial crisis had taken a toll on the value of 50 Cent's investments, and by 2015 he was earning a comparatively small $185,000 per month. You could certainly argue that this was enough for 50 to get back on his feet. However, $108,000 of this monthly income was going toward an 18-bedroom mega mansion, while the remaining $77,000 was going toward menial expenses such as his gardener, with bankruptcy documents revealing that 50 Cent still owed money to his stylist, fitness coach, and even his barber. Despite this, he began—
Bro, you gotta pay your barber, bro. You gotta pay your barber, bro. Man said only 40 mil. Bro, I can't even imagine. Even if I had 10 mil, okay. Let's say like 1-2 mil goes to a house, right? You pay that off. You still have 8 million fucking bucks. Like, how the fuck are you gonna spend? What will you buy? Holy hell.
Troll on social media with posts such as this one, spelling out the word broke with $100 bills, and within 2 years, 50 Cent had paid back 23 million worth of his $32 million debt. 50 Cent eventually got back to zero, and according to Google, has built up a net worth of $40 million over the last 5 years.
At least he recovered, right? Like, at least he got to a point where now he's in the positive, right? He made the smart decision. The other ones on this list did not fucking recover. They still broke. Holy fuck. I guess that like he had the means because of all of his investments, etc. But like, damn, bro, like the moment you start making that kind of money, like I know that like you gotta start moving smart with it because like you won't be able to rap all the time. I know that like let's say that I become a huge streamer like XQC, right? But like I know I probably will not want to do it forever. And that I would need the mental, I would need to be in the mental position to know that like I can at least stop streaming whenever I want and just retire, or just like go back to occasionally releasing a YouTube video or something. Exactly. How do you even spend 10 mil, house and car for like 3 mil? Exactly. This is why you don't drop out of school to become a rapper. Precisely.